and we're always experimenting with both, my little red sparrow friend. Save Jesse Crouch Crew asks, I just started doing this. Would there be any benefit to going backwards and adding thumbnails or updating the thumbnails to older videos as well? I do think there's benefit to this. When I was partway into my journey at Think Media, I had some early videos that were pretty good content, and the thumbnails, I just didn't put any energy into them at all. So once my design skills up-leveled a bit and I wanted to kind of refresh the videos, I took like a Saturday morning and I just went back and I updated my best videos. I didn't do my whole library. I think that might be wasted energy, but there was a few that I wanted to not only update, but then I re-promoted them because then I had a new thumbnail, which gave me a new graphic to share on Facebook, to share on Twitter and say, hey, go check out this video. Video might've been 2-3 years old, but now it kind of had a fresh look to it with the new thumbnail, and that also gives it a chance to rank and perform more in the future because thumbnails are a big deal. If you can get people to click and watch your videos and increase that click-through rate and that average view duration and all of those important YouTube metrics in 2020 and beyond, it can be a game changer for your YouTube channel. So Ben asks, letting go of perfectionism is the hardest part for me. If you change a thumbnail later on down the road, does it affect analytics? Well, Ben, I love the question. First of all, I can totally relate. I mean, there are some days, some nights where I spend probably way too much time over analyzing my thumbnails. I keep tweaking them, I keep testing them, I change them, I lay in bed and I think, I wonder if I should have done it a different color or if the logo should have been bigger. And then I sometimes will get up and change it more. At some point, Ben, you have to just let it go. Frozen 2, I don't think that song's in the movie. Let it go and release it to the world. Just put it out there. Now, is there benefit to changing the thumbnail down the road? There can be. And there's two things here. Number one, it won't affect your analytics or it won't affect the algorithm. YouTube won't really know the difference. What they will know is if it gets more click-through rate on it, if it gets better engagement. And so friends of mine that really want their videos to perform well will test and look at their analytics after 3, 4, 5 days, see if their click-through rate is something they're happy with, and then they will go back and change the thumbnail if they think it could be improved. I never do that. I, at some point, make it as good as I possibly can, release it to the world, and then think about the next video. I really believe that for a lot of us, it's your next video that's gonna be your best video, not worrying about over-optimizing your past videos. So done is better than perfect. Get it to a good level, don't overthink it. Guess what? Something's probably wrong with it. Would blue have been better than yellow? Maybe. Would red have been better than pink? I don't know. If you did this face instead of that face, you'll kind of never know at some point. Forward action and massive action is always where the action is. And so, yeah, do it as good as you can and then put it out there in the world and on to the next video. Jay asks, I think I make an okay thumbnail for my videos. What would you say is the one element that can take it to the next level to be suggested by YouTube? Jay, the top elements for me are, number one, it's gotta stand out. Now that might seem obvious, but I mean, it literally needs to pop off the page in some way. If the colors are dull, if it's messy, if the story the image is telling is undiscernible, like it's just kind of confusing, then it's not gonna work. What you want is it to leap off the page. So one thing to consider is also, if you're trying to rank for a video, you want your video to probably be different than the other videos or just in some way unique so that it leaps off the page. If you said, what's the one element? Well, there's a few. I think color is a big deal. It doesn't have to be crazy rainbow colors like some YouTube, just super bright and crazy, but I think some pop of color helps it stand out. We've also learned that emotion really helps it stand out. And I know as YouTubers, a lot of times we can go extreme and we're like, with our faces and then people just imitate that, and I'm guilty of that as well, but there's science behind it. People respond to emotion. Just no emotion at all gets less clicks. If you're happy or sad or confused or suspicious or there's drama and you do the scared face and then you talk about the coming doom and gloom because drama is popular and drama gets clicks, then you tie in all those elements together and those can make your thumbnails much more powerful. So I think emotion, I think color, and then I think clarity. At the end of the day, I think that less is more on thumbnails. If we try to get too many words, too many things, I try to think about ways to tell a story. If I want to say how to build a YouTube studio, I probably can't show the whole studio. You know what I mean? Because if it's too far zoomed out, unless it's a really clean shot, if it's too messy, if it's too busy, if you confuse, you lose. So how can it be colorful, have emotion, be very clickable, and how can you make sure it stays clear and tells the story that you want it to tell? This is a big challenge, Jay, but if you could pull that off, then you've got a winning thumbnail. Okay, so take a deep breath. You know, this YouTube thing is no joke. A lot of work goes into it, but YouTube is one of the most powerful platforms on the planet for getting your message out there, for building a life and a business on your own terms. And so learning this process and mastering shooting videos and creating content is a big deal. And so now we're gonna be going into the third part of the series, which is all about editing, right? We've shot our video, we've shot the photography for our thumbnails, we've planned all that out, and now we're ready to take all of our footage, we're gonna capture it on the computer, drop it in Adobe Premiere, and edit. And here's the thing, if you have some kind of a different video editing software, I think that you're still gonna get a lot of insights out of the editing psychology, as well as if you wanna use Adobe, that's what I use. I use the Adobe Creative Cloud, I use Photoshop and Adobe Premiere and Adobe Audition for audio, all under one roof, Lightroom for editing photos that I use for social media. And that's what our whole team uses as well. We buy different seats, and that way we're all able to be on the same software. And so we'll include links to all that kind of stuff in the resource guide. But now it's time to get into the third part of the series, all about editing. So let's just jump right into it. So if you want to level up your content, editing is one of the best ways to do it. And in this video, I'm going to be going through a beginner tutorial on Adobe Premiere about how to edit a YouTube video. I'm also going to be sharing a few tips from my workflow and even some advanced insights. So let's just dive into it right now. Hey, what's up? Sean Cannell here with Think Media, bringing you the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. And right now we're in the middle of a 4-part video series all about how to shoot, do a thumbnail, edit, and then ultimately upload a YouTube video so you can put out better content, grow your channel faster, and get more views. And if you actually want to watch part 1 or 2, in part 1, we did a whole video on shooting content with the Canon M50 or a similar DSLR or mirrorless camera. In video 2, we talked all about getting the thumbnail ready, and we're already done with that. And now it's time to actually edit our video. And so that's what we're gonna be doing right now in part 3. If you missed out on the beginning of the series, I'll link it up on the YouTube card, as well as post a link to that playlist in the description below. But with that, let's dive right into how to edit a video in Adobe Premiere. All right, so step number 1 is take the SD card out of our camera, plug it into our card reader. In this case, I've got an extra long one plugged into my computer with this crazy cable so I can just easily get to it. But whether you're on a laptop or you have a PC or some kind of a tower, you definitely need an SD card reader. Capture your footage, and right now I've already actually downloaded it into an external hard drive. And here's how I organize some of my files. I've got my footage folder, and this is all of the footage that I shot in video number 1, including the A-roll and the B-roll. I've actually got the music folder, and we'll talk about that in a bit. The thumbnails, and we already created our thumbnail, but that's where I would save all the image files. And then I've actually got my intro bumper. Now, if you don't have one made, you don't need one, but this is just my little bumper for my Sean Cannell channel. And if you actually want to watch the final video, I'll link to that and post it in the description below as well. If you kind of want to see it either before or after, definitely check it out so you can see the final result. So what we're going to do is we have Adobe Premiere open. And if you've never used Adobe Premiere, it's a little bit more advanced, but I highly recommend it. So if you want to do a trial, I'll put a link to it in the description below. And I use Premiere for editing video, and then I used Photoshop to edit my thumbnails. And so we're gonna do a new project here, and we are going to name it, right? So this was a Sean Cannell is the YouTube channel I'm posting this on, and it was a home office tour. So I'm gonna do that, and we also, everything else here is pretty much good to go. And what's cool about Premiere lately is that it really will understand. In the past, you could select certain sequences and projects, and this might sound kind of crazy, but you'd have different frame rates, and you maybe need to know some technical details ahead of time. What's cool about Premiere now is you don't need to know those technical details. You can just drop your footage in and it'll know how to interpret it for you. So here is the Premiere homepage. It says right over in the lower left, import media to start. That is our first step, or we ultimately could drop the media right on the sequence place here, and then that's gonna fill in these windows up here with other content once we do that. So I'm actually gonna select all of my clips and just drop them straight into the sequence, because right now it's importing all of our footage from what we shot with the Canon M50. All right, so now the footage is actually all in the timeline. Right now in the lower very left-hand corner, you can see that it's conforming the audio, which actually means that those waveforms are kind of showing up on here. So here's what I mean. If we wanna make our two main kind of visuals here a little larger, this is our first layer of video and audio. And here's what I want you to think about. Right now on the screen, we can see some of the preview footage. And if you remember in video number 1, we talked about A-roll and B-roll. And so essentially, if this is your A-roll, which is your layer video number 1 here, maybe we want to pull in some B-roll. Here's all of our B-roll clips, but we don't need the audio on there. So I just unlinked the audio. Now I've got that clip released. So I could be talking in the A-roll here, but then it could show the B-roll while I'm talking. Does it make sense? So there's the B-roll clip, there's the A-roll clip, and I'm able to just drag and drop and move things all around here in the timeline. And so I'm actually gonna delete this because of the order, and I'm going to sort this by name to get all of the files in the order I shot them, because they were in some kind of crazy order when I first dropped them into the sequence. So now, when I take these all into the sequence, here's the cool thing. The main video should just be all the way through here until this is all the main video that I shot. Here's my outro. And what I'm doing on the timeline here is I'm using the hotkeys minus and plus to zoom in, with plus, minus to zoom out. See that? So I can zoom into the edit. And so now, if I actually go to here, this was all the B-roll clips. So I'm gonna move those off to the right. And here's the deal. I actually don't need any of the audio on these clips. And so what I did is I right-clicked, I clicked unlink. And so just to clean it up, this is the way I do it, is I just taking this waveform to delete all that audio. This is all B-roll clips.